02.
I'm inspired by all the women that I've been hanging out with on this week's show. Get Down to Business, jam-packed with information from Nabo, Chicago, from Susan Kaplan, talking about how to tell your story, from Tzipora Gelman from Chicago, and now joined here in studio by Susan Worline, the Director of Business Development at Peace Hospice and Palliative Care. Susan, thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Absolutely. Good evening.
Good evening. So you are, by your own definition, you're a networking guru, and your reputation precedes you. I know you're very, very, very involved in community. There's so much we could talk about, and we only have a few minutes to talk.
That's okay.
But tell me, let's start about community, because I know you have an organization that you are so passionate about. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I work full-time hospice for Peace Hospice and Palliative Care, but also on my spare time, I also run my own charity called Flying for Hope.
Flying for Hope. So tell us just the Reader's Digest version about the great, fantastic work that you do.
We provide financial assistance to pay for people's flights, bus, and train tickets to get to their loved one in the event of a crisis situation. That's
so important, and we all know somebody that in a tough medical situation and the family having trouble getting there. It's so important to have that emotional support. So that's amazing. And obviously, before we say farewell to you at the end of the segment, we'll be sure to get contact information so our listeners hopefully can find ways to support your important work. But your day job, as you mentioned, is the Director of Business Development at Peace Hospice. Tell us a little bit about the hospice and the story of the organization and what you do every day.
Oh, I love my job. Peace Hospice and Palliative Care is located in Naperville. We serve 12 counties, and we'll be having our 10-year anniversary next month. It all started by a vision of our spiritual leader, Ronki Champion, who basically had a calling one day and had taken on that calling and turned what her vision and dreams were to start a hospice organization in the Chicagoland area.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. So how many people do you service every year?
Well, it depends. People on hospice have a life-limiting illness, so our goal is to work cohesively as a team to make sure that we can put the loved one on hospice services, which they've already bestowed upon themselves, because a lot of people think hospice costs money, and it does not.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So you are out there in the community. As you said, you are a networking guru, getting out there, meeting a lot of people, involved in a lot of projects in Naperville, it sounds like. But a lot of what you do, Susan, it sounds like you educate.
That's exactly correct. And that's what we do, is educate. We have a team of community relations managers that go out into different territories in the Chicagoland area. So not only am I mentoring them and supporting them, we all work cohesively together to actually educate the community, the doctors, the skilled facilities, anyone in the community that is willing to listen about the wonderful hospice benefit that is already bestowed upon them in the event that they become ill.
And it sounds like a huge part of your work, which I know you're very passionate about, is obviously working with families and families that are talking to you. They're probably not in the best state of mind, so they're probably dealing with challenging situations. But you are a caring, you have a caring shoulder to lean on, and I guess you educate something on an issue that people need to hear about.
Yeah, people are so afraid of the word hospice. It actually means comes from the Latin term hospitium, which means hospitality. So hospice is a hospitality service. When someone goes on hospice, it's covered by their Medicare benefit and most private insurances. So regardless of your age, we will still come out and talk with the families and educate the families about the hospice benefit. We want to make sure that they're comfortable, that they're not in any pain, and then that they're getting the spiritual, emotional, and physical support that they need, not only by our team, but we're also not only helping the family, we're also more helping the patient.
And I know you're servicing families from many counties, but it sounds like a theme that I'm hearing from you is that a lot of your involvement is in Naperville, and it sounds like you
South
are...
Chicago, too. A lot of Chicago, Naperville, anywhere, like Lake County, Will County, Cook County, DuPage, Kane.
That's fantastic. And Peace Hospice is, it sounds like, pretty involved in community as an organization.
Absolutely. We really like to be a part of the community, whether we're doing Alzheimer's walks or, supporting things in the local community. Even though we're located in Naperville, a lot of people just think we only serve the Naperville community. We serve all communities in different counties, of course.
That's amazing. So how many people are part of the Peace Hospice and Palliative Care organization?
I believe that we have 30 employees. We have several nurses in the surrounding the different Chicagoland area, so they can be closer to their patients.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different hospices in the community, so what makes us a little bit different is that our turnaround time is very quick. From
that's
the referral
important.
process is about 4 hours.
That's fantastic. That's great. So, Susan Worline, you're involved in a lot in the community, also involved quite a bit in the business networking community, something I know a thing or two about. And I want to make sure our listeners can find you, can find Peace Hospice, can find ways to support your work in the nonprofit community as well and helping families. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
There's several ways. You can go to our website, peacehospice.net, www.peacehospice.net. You can also find us on our Facebook page and see some of the differences we're making in our patients and their families' lives, whether we're celebrating their birthday, we're doing community involvement, and that's our Facebook.com, and it's Peace HPC, / Peace HPC. We're also on Twitter as well, and we have a monthly newsletter, so if anyone is interested, we send out a monthly newsletter as well as things that are going on in the community. So if someone has an event that they want published in our newsletter, then we put it in our newsletter so everyone knows what's going on in the community.
Well, you guys are great at getting the message out. Susan Worline, we appreciate it. Director of Business Development at Peace Hospice and Palliative Care. We'll be sure to also post information about your nonprofit work through our blog as well so people can find ways to support that. But again, make sure you check them out, peacehospice.net. Coming up, I've got more tips, advice, and information for you after the break.
Great.